The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Okay, hello everyone, happy Saturday, good evening. This is a very special episode from Irina and Behind the Velvet Rope with Irina and Darren. Darren Taylor are my very special guests. Please say hello.
Hello.
Hello. So he's in the studio. And those who are listening to us and would like to see us as well, please join our Facebook Live. We are on our page, Behind the Velvet Rope with Irina on Facebook. Just put it in the search and you'll find us. Please join, comment, like, let us know that we are not alone in this universe. That would be fantastic. And Darren is an actor, comedian, and just a great, amazing, very handsome gentleman you would like to check out. So especially if you're ladies, I highly recommend. And if you men, of course, you want to see me, you know I'm hot, so.
This part is accurate. We've gotten to the true part of the thing,
story,
so.
Right? So me and Darren, we actually met last year on set.
As husband and wife.
As husband and wife. So yeah, we were instantly married in first 5 minutes of our introduction. So that was a very fun project.
And we got into an argument the very first.
I know. I was trying
scripted argument.
Scripted, but we went off script a lot. I feel
improv. Yeah, lots
right.
of.
So
I've been married. She's married. We know how to argue. It wasn't.
We're super proficient in that.
Yeah,
so that was fun. I mean, I can't wait for that movie actually to come out. Like, I think it's about to premiere, right? As far as I
wouldn't hold us to this, but we think it's an April release. It's going to be called Breakthrough, and it's directed by Sharman Lee. She directed me in a soldier's play the year previous. And Sharman Lee, if you guys don't know, she was recurring on The Quad. She's recurring on Dynasty now, I believe. And she's been at this.
What is it? Inspectors? Oh, no.
Yeah, The Inspectors, right.
Yeah,
and she was on the originals too. I mean, she's just been all over the place. She was on, I think, like the Nanny or something back in the day. So she knows her stuff, and it was just fantastic to work with. So.
Absolutely. I think everything was so professional and so quick and organized. I loved it. It's your first directing experience, am I understanding? Then we were working together?
Maybe in terms of the movie. I mean, she directed the play and whatnot.
Okay, so she did stage play, but now she's doing the actual film.
Right.
Yeah. So recently we just reconnected. You were working on behind the scene on Instant Family.
Yes.
And I was doing that the same. So it was fun to meet Darren again. Like, he had to remind me how to be professional on set right away.
As usual.
As usual.
Who's that wandering around? I've got this. It's Irina. Hey, Privyet, как дела? Come over here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, great Russian. Look at you. And guys, as I promised you, I finally have a guest who can speak English better than I do.
Yeah, I was scrolling through the videos of the previous guests, and I'm like the token.
You're like the
token American.
The first song in American ears. Like, oh gosh, finally somebody we don't have to actually strain our ears to listen to.
Just trying to broaden the audience.
I know.
Confuse Putin, who's hacking the show as we speak. So.
I think he's too busy celebrating his win in an election.
His win, yes.
Oh, come on. He got 70% whatever support in this election.
Right. I mean,
you don't believe in that?
I think the same people that watch the ballot boxes are the same people who officiate New England Patriot games. Oh, this is going out of Boston. I scratched that. My English is not so good. Take it away, Irina.
Well, I was actually even going to vote, but the last minute, my plans actually changed. Actually, they were so nice. They wanted to collect all the votes from Russian citizens in the United States, and I'm still Russian citizen. And they came here, and they were actually voting in a newspaper office here, which I'm on the cover of, by the way, this month. So,
wow.
Yes. So, hello to Russian Town in Atlanta, a wonderful magazine which has been around for I think at least 20 years by now. So, it's wonderful to be on the cover of it, and
Let me get this straight though. You're here, you're working here, you married an American, right? And you can still vote in the Russian election as long as you say you're going to vote for him, or do you actually?
I hold Russian passport, so I don't have a choice. Surprisingly, we had 7 candidates. Some of them I've been the same candidates since I was 12 years old, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, one is from Communist Party. One is from a party, I don't even know the name of it. It's kind of a joke. But they get older and wiser, and every election they're there. They are opponents of the president, whoever's around.
To get wiped out by less and less, maybe?
Yeah.
Are they closing the gap at least?
Well, I think it feels like their percentage is actually decreasing with every year. So I don't think they're making any progress. So I'm surprised by the timid person is actually being a candidate for at least the last 8 times. He's very persistent. So maybe one day.
And still alive. So
still
good
alive.
For you, sir. Good for you. Don't own an oil company.
Most of them don't own anything, so
that's why they're running for office.
Right.
They need a job.
Right. Their wives, their children, grandchildren, nieces, cousins, they own something.
Okay.
The candidate itself is no obligation and no properties involved.
That's the deal.
Yeah,
okay.
you need to know Russian system. You need to know how to play with it. So. But it was an interesting attempt. Like I saw on Facebook some fake news article. They tried the same strategy, saying that Putin actually took his candidacy of the presidency. He's so destroyed by results in Virginia that Russian citizens in Virginia didn't support him, that he took his candidacy from the president election. Well, it's so clearly, you know what I'm saying? So, they were doing a preliminary elections in the United States, state by state, just like United States like to do. And, according to some fake news on Facebook, he was so disappointed with people in Virginia, Russian citizens in Virginia, who didn't vote for him, that he dropped out of the election, pretty much.
That was the fake news.
That was the fake news, which we got, yes.
And then he got that one 16th seed basketball team to beat the number 1 ranked Virginia. That was all Putin's doing right there. It's officiating. So. But and just, I don't want to get too far off topic, but so they still, all right, so you've got like the I'm trying to think how they do the elections here, and they light up the states, who's winning, who's losing, blah, blah, blah. So they're doing that with the different independent Russian states, and they also have another map of the United States to show how the candidates are doing in Virginia.
I seriously doubt it. I think that was just something.
You saw it on the internet.
I saw it on the internet, and my mom actually took it as a real news. She came all upset to me. It's like, can you believe it? Mr. Putin is not running for president. And I was like, Mom, I didn't read it, but just the title of the article alone tells me it's a fake news.
Moms should stay off the internet, especially mine. Don't watch this, Dad. Make her do something.
Where's your mom actually? Where you from there?
I'm originally from Ohio, and they, when they chose their final place to retire, they chose just outside of the Atlanta area. So I was in Florida, and then I came up here with them. And we're supposed to get together with them for dinner tonight, but somebody is such a big movie star that she's got so much going on that she just kind of, I'm puppet on string. So she's like, can you make it now? Can you make it now? I'm like, sure, I'll cancel dinner with Mom.
It's all about you. We said you're the big star who need a bigger ratings and a more popular time on Saturday night.
Stroke the ego. That's why I'm here.
It's how you present it. If you say, I have to reschedule because I stuck on set and I couldn't make it on time, it sounds bad. But if you say, David, I think Saturday will be a better option for you. We have a much higher ratings Saturday, I'm learning, it's all about how you present it, wrap it up and make it nice, But I'm so grateful you actually joined me. I really, really, really excited to have you here. And Mom and Dad, please forgive me for stealing your wonderful, beautiful, talented son on Saturday night from you.
We've got Sunday.
Yes, that's a great
Let the steak marinade. Open a better bottle of wine.
That's right. The longer you wait, right? Anticipation is the best part of the dinner night.
Exactly.
So, do you have a lot of dinner nights recently?
Like with my folks?
No, like dating, for example. Are you dating? Are you married? Like,
I'm not married, and I have no idea how one would do a relationship in this business. I mean, if you look at somebody as like cool as Chris Pratt and Anna Faris, and if you saw stuff before they broke up, I mean, between them, the things that they would post and whatnot, it's like so cool and playful and fun. And then the next thing you see, it's like, oh, we've decided to separate amicably. It's like, holy crap, if they can't do it, then,
I mean, I totally feel you on that. And my husband is an actor, and it's hard. I cannot explain how hard it is to be on set, surrounded by all these hot people around you. All these beautiful, talented opportunities working by,
I was going like there's a scheduling challenge. You're just like, you're too tempted by all this.
I mean, when somebody is like, but I just can't imagine how hard it is for men. I mean, yesterday we were filming, and it's like 100 of gorgeous women and men, working around you. And you're supposed to stare at one person and think like, gosh, for the rest of my life, I stuck with this one.
Stuck with.
But I'm saying,
See, this is how they all get after Valentine's Day. Before it's, kisses, sweet nothing, this and that. And then after, now they've got another, what is it?
No, I am thinking I'm thinking from the man's perspective,
Not okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm a man, but I don't like to be lumped in with men.
I mean, I make sure.
You see how I am on set.
Yeah, you're very professional. Very funny, but very professional.
That's the good acting. That's the best acting that I do, is like pretending to be professional on set.
That nothing crosses my mind ever. And it's me usually who spoils everything.
Inappropriate hobo.
Yeah,
that's what I used to be called until I took the right acting classes. So.
But I mean, I just honestly think it's really hard to be in this business. But on a lighter note, if you notice, I bring only single people on my show.
Are they only single?
The last couple people, like hot models, I had some.
Why am I not on this show? Why don't we do a panel show?
I know, right? So people can call in, comment, and say hello, and No, I know. No, last my last guest was married. I have to correct myself. But before that, a hot model, lady, single. I have another hot model coming up, guy, single. I have.
No one cares.
I'm trying to bring you guys options, to
to
get to know each other. But okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that.
But kind of what we were talking about now and before with like how we weren't able to schedule this. I mean, this was like a professional thing that we both had like a vested interest in making this happen, and we couldn't make it happen when we thought. So if I had a date or something, then, I mean, those all the bookings that you get are typically like last minute, if you get like 2 days before, that would be considered a lot of notice. So how do you make any kind of plans with anyone around that? It gets old.
Yeah. And then the other part is like, so who's your perspective? Like who is your, the main, what is it, prerogative or priority? Like it constantly feels like you have to choose between the two, even if you are in business and you both understand how it works,
right?
It's still like constant change of plans. It feels like you're selfish if one person has to adjust all the time for your schedule, I can only understand if one person is not in the industry. Like I was so picky before, like if you don't pick up a phone within 5 minutes, I called you, I make a scene. If you cancel a date with me, I will break up with you, know? And there are some spoiled women like that. And I mean, you don't even intend that, but in this business, you will be constantly letting people down because everything changes so fast, and you don't have your phone for hours sometimes on you. And yes, you cannot text right away or reply right away.
Oh yeah, because you're on set. If you're on a Marvel set, you're not even allowed to have your phone. So when they start filming the next Avengers movie here, I mean, forget about it. You like put it. You put your phone in an envelope, and then they take it off. Unless you're a stand-in, then. You're trusty. So Henry Wang knows all about that.
But most of them. So I mean, I can totally feel you. Like the schedules, the demands, and how chaotic this business is. It's just really hard to.
Absolutely. When I got the play that we were talking with Charmin Lee before, the play that I was in for her, I had started seeing somebody then, and now I've got like 20 pages of just my dialogue. Forget how it gets woven into everything else, and it's like I really wanted to hit that one out of the park, and it was a Pulitzer Prize winning play, so it's like there's no excuse. You can't blame the material at that point if it's a Pulitzer Prize.
Right.
If I suck, it's all on me. So I really had to put a lot of work into memorizing it. That was not a skill, and now the really cool part after lifting all of that weight, so to speak, with the text, now anything that's like less than 20 pages, it's like, oh yeah, no problem. I've got that. So
yeah, it's actually a skill which develops pretty quickly. Because before I was looking at actors, how did he just look at this page for 2 minutes and he memorized it? It took me 2 hours to memorize the same text, the same role. Yeah, now like as you constantly memorizing every day something, like you kind of develop that ability as a skill.
And that's one of I've found from standing in on set where you have a lot more interaction with the actors, is that when you see people like Bob De Niro and Christopher Walken and Kevin Costner, having to stop and ask for a line. It's like, wow, the guy's like won Academy Awards. He's like thought of as like one of the best, and he still has to ask for a line. Now I don't feel bad about getting my a pronoun mixed up or something, because if Kevin can't do it, then how should I be expected?
I think they're so focused on my character that sometimes they just kind of let it go. And it's funny part that the closer camera gets to you, the more I start blanking on the lines.
And that's true for everybody.
And it's so funny because when we were doing the scene and we were like focused on people across from us on the table, I could tell my lines with no problems. But then they actually filming me, and the camera is my face, and I keep. It's like, this is my moment to shine, and to show how well I can be acting, and I'm totally blanking on simplest lines, So you're totally right, and especially it's like a huge crew, and at the end of the day, you like feel so ashamed. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm holding everybody's back.
Everybody wants just to get out of there.
Everybody hates me right now.
Like, you got it the past 3 times. What's wrong with you? Yeah. But to see all those actors at that level still do the exact same thing.
So we're all humans. So we're all humans. At the end of the day, it's a work, it's a process. So they'll get the best of it.
Exactly.
It's not like theater. You mentioned theater. Theater, you just have one opportunity to do that, one live performance, and improv and just being in the moment. It means so much, I think. Like I did a couple stage plays, and it's a totally different experience. It's very exhausting, but at the same time kind of energizing you. It's just like highs and lows all the time during the stage play, because you're like, you see, oh, he forgot his line, he messed it up, but we improvised it, and we did well together. So it's like you kind of get a high out of it, but then somebody's mad at somebody behind the stage.
And definitely for a soldier's play, that was one of the things where, like the first performance we did of it, I don't think I needed any help, but I needed to help somebody else out. And then for the second performance we did months later, I mean, you rehearse it so much, and then you kind of skip ahead to a different part, in your mind where you're at. And so I had to have, Aston Green, a phenomenal actor. He was the one who had to help me out that time around, and it was very clever the way he did it, and the audience wouldn't be able to tell. But it's like, oh, thank God! And afterwards, you just got to say, thanks, man. Human parachute, right? Right,
and it's important. It's important when you kind of like help each other out during the performances, and it's most people do, most of the time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, how long you been acting? When did you start your journey?
March is 3.5 years. Okay. It'll be. Yeah, I didn't start doing it until I moved up here. It wasn't, and I thought for sure, like, a question that you're going to ask me is like, when did you first decide that you wanted to be an actor? And it's like I never really did. It was just kind of something I fell into doing background work initially. I had put in, I wanted to do an open, like you talked about the comedian aspect, I wanted to do an open mic night at a comedy club. I have no idea to do that. So I Google everything. How do you do an open mic night at a comedy club? And I guess one of the banner ads on the side was for to be an extra in Steven Spielberg's Red Band Society. So, I followed the instructions. I'm like, yeah, like Steve's going to call. And he did. Not Steve, but, Stillwell casting. Yes. Cynthia Stillwell set me up with my first thing, and then like within a month I had my first speaking role in an independent, and it was a lot of more background work and that type of thing. But then when Andrea Craven gave me my first shot to be Kevin Costner's stand-in in Hidden Figures, that's when the game changed for me, because then you're around the directors and the actors. You can really learn more about the craft doing that. And for whatever reason, I don't think being a stand-in is that difficult.
I think we should explain what stand-in is, because most people who are not in an industry are like, what are they talking about? That stand-in is actually, like, I would let you explain it, I think, because
it's one of those jobs, like, how if somebody says, like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm the marketing thing at this, pencil company. They still really have no idea what the hell you do. But a stand-in, it's exactly what it sounds like. Wherever that actor stands, they put a T, because you're going to be too dumb to memorize where to stand on the carpet on your own. They put a T with tape on it, and then you stand there. And then they do the lighting and
camera frame.
Yeah, and to figure out, okay, we're going to let these people in the background walk when the character says this and that. So you're literally standing in a spot while the other actor gets to rehearse, be on their phone, or whatever they want to do.
Yeah, because like people don't realize it, but it takes the most of the time takes actually putting everything together. Like the lighting, the cameras, and was trying to adjust the lights right now there, and I think he realized that it's not easy. It's not easy.
We are not this pale in real life.
No, we're not.
Oh my God, like two moon people. Look at that.
But I'm still learning. We're still learning it, how to work with all that. Yeah, I wish I had the same crew as we have on sets, but no, I'm still picking up the additional skill in my resume. It's how to set up the lights. But yeah, it takes a lot of time to figure out how to do the camera work. They always have like this mini management meeting. How we're gonna do it.
Exactly.
How many cameras do we need? From which angle?
Yeah, it's such a beehive of activity, because you've got it's not like, because you've got sound in there, you've got the lighting people, then there's like, the grips and the gaffers, like everybody's hanging, and then you've got set deck, and then the directors and cameras are still trying to figure out where they want to go. So all of it happens at once. Nobody takes turns, and you're just kind of standing, and like people are walking around with these heavy
and furniture disappears.
Points.
Like there was you people don't realize it, but sometimes to get a certain shot, you have to remove half of the room, from what they do on set. Like you see the room, and then they have to move this and that and that. So all this takes a lot of time, and that's why stand-ins are stepping in and standing there, sitting there, or doing whatever needs to be done. Right. I was actually in the sex scene several times standing. That was interesting. It was my first experience.
That's what the ad in the paper said.
No. They asked me to be a stand-in, and I was like, I guess I'll try it. Yes. And then when
she got the job on Tinder. That's what happened.
No, but then when I read it, I was like, do we really have to do that? Well, we didn't have to, but
there was one of my friends, Phil Noble. He was standing in on Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. That was like the second one. He got a speaking role over in Alabama, so since we're the same height roughly, he got me to stand in for him, standing in for this other guy.
But whose name nobody remembers, right? But it's okay. Keep going.
Put me on the spot. I knew at one point. Tom Everett Scott. I don't know.
I'm horrible.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
So anyway, but they came out with a book, The Diary of the Wimpy Kid, like how they made the movie. And when they did that, they had something on the stand-ins, and Phil and all the other stand-ins got their picture in the book. But what was kind of like it's like, that's the good news. The bad news is, like, when the author wrote about it, he said, the stand-ins stand in while the real actors go and rehearse their lines. It's like, real actors? Oh, bastard.
Like, what did they just say about it?
Exactly.
But, I think that's something I was actually planning to talk in my blog about. By the way, check out my blog on my page, Irina Vanwells, actress and model. I have links to on my page. And I was just talking about that stand-in as the great opportunity for those who's trying to transition from extras to actual, more serious roles, because you are kind of in the middle of this process. You hear the directors, you hear the cameraman, the producers, you learn from the stars of the movie what to do, how to do it, and it's a great school. If you don't go to university, kind of learning in this live process right there, right then. And of course, they stare at you on the screen for hours. And they're so bored, they will talk to you all the time.
They don't really see you, but they stare at you.
They stare at you, yes. So, I mean, your face becomes so memorable to them,
Well, and what a lot of directors will ask you to do is to memorize the lines.
Yes.
So you actually get to demonstrate that you can act
so
in
you
certain
pretty much
situations.
understudy on the stage play. You're almost understudy in a movie.
I think if Christopher Walken got sick in War with Grandpa, I don't think I'm stepping up to the plate to.
It's a big stretch, but it's possible somewhere in the other universe.
I like the way you think.
I'm optimistic. But I mean, definitely they can, especially if it's a long-running show, like a Dynasty, for example. They look at you and they can bring you as an additional character down the road. If they look at you for so long and they get familiar with your skills and they trust you that much.
Do you know Zachary Clemens? He's one of the main stand-ins on that show, and he's got a musical theater background and whatnot. That's what I'm really hoping for him. That is, I don't know if they make him memorize lines on stuff for that, but Zach, I'm rooting for you because man, that would be a perfect transition, I think.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole thing, that you never seen on the screen of that show, even though you spend days and days working on it. You work behind the scenes, so bringing you as a character down the road, it's not a problem for them.
And I would have thought that on some of the things that I've been involved with, that I would have been in the credits, because I've known other friends like Alvin Streeter, who was like the Rock's stand-in for the Fast and Furious and all this other stuff. They had all of their stand-in names on the credits and not us, and it's just like
Yeah, and then they have a driver from like a shuttle bus.
Exactly.
And the catering services with the credits, and you're like, I've been on the show for several months.
The guy who brings the chips, he's
more important than me.
He needs to be on the show. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just pluses and minuses of that particular position. But
absolutely.
But yeah, you know what? I just first of all, if you guys listening to us and you want to see us, which I highly recommend, join our Facebook Live at Behind the Velvet Rope with Irina and Darren tonight, and please join us. I see some people are joining us on Facebook. Wonderful. Please ask us questions. Like Darren loves questions, but which only require yes or no answer.
Oh my God, we still have a half hour.
Oh, you didn't even notice that 30 minutes.
I told everybody it was at 10 o'clock just so I could get in.
Oh, really? But anyways, you guys comment, join us, feel free, because we like to interact with you. That's the whole reason why I put the makeup, on that day. It's so funny because like we have a live stream and then we have Facebook, and Facebook is delayed for like a minute probably, so it's like you're traveling back in time.
Yeah,
so
we look back and that's the face that I made. It's very wow.
It's like a playback right there. Well, anyways, join us on Behind the Velvet Rope with Irina.
This is my Mark Rubio impression.
Yeah, you see how informal we are? Like we even drink wine on Facebook Live.
My AA meeting isn't until 10. So.
And tomorrow's Sunday. We can.
It's like a pre-communion. Is that what you're going with?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll have pizza as the wafer.
Yeah, but we had a little accident. I already broke a glass, so it's like
she did.
That's why I'm not drinking.
I had no idea this was like going to be an actual show. I'm like, she's like, do you want to come over on Friday? I'm like, sure. She's like, I'll have wine. Sure, we'll talk. I'm like, okay. And then I come here and it's an actual show. So
it's an actual show. You have to work it out.
Kind of disappointing.
Oh, come on. You're having a good time.
Yes.
And I'm having a good time reading your Facebook posts, and I think you're hilarious. Every time you post something, I'm just like laying on the floor laughing for at least 30 minutes after that. So that's why I'm looking forward to your stand-in debut. When is it going to happen, finally?
My stand-in or my stand-up?
Stand-up.
Stand-in debut. We were lying before about the other stuff.
No, like I want to see you making fun of all those people you're making fun on Facebook. Come on now. Like, I want to actually be in a live show. And I told him I will volunteer either as a security, and if there's anybody having problems with Darren's jokes, I'll take them out of the audience.
She is my comedy KGB.
Yes, I am. And if I'm not enough, I bring my Russian mafia friends. We'll make sure everybody laughs.
There's like this dead silence, and then you just like reach in your thing, and just like, oh, that was great. Knock, knock. Wow.
Well, but I really think you can do great in that film. I'm really looking forward for your Saturday night debut. Like, consider the Saturday night debut. How about that?
Okay, we can consider that. I like Devin Gerlach's idea too about doing like a YouTube thing. Mm-hmm. Those people make bank.
Yeah.
Like, I had no clue. There's like YouTube millionaires. See some of that?
Yeah.
Come on, I can do that.
Absolutely, million views on some of those things, and there's so much more competition nowadays for traditional television with streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube Red nowadays. Like,
right,
it's pretty much another streaming service right there. They're trying to get into that niche, and nowadays anybody with camera and a little bit of sense of humor can produce great content on
it's a great time to be an actor, because it's not like you just have 3 channels anymore, or even like 50 in the early days of cable. It's like it's all about content, and everybody's looking for the new, like, Beck's Breaking Bad, or or Stranger Things, or whatever. So yeah, if you've got ideas, and you can film it all on your phone now.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually just read the article that Netflix set a very ambitious goal of having 700 new shows in 1 year. I don't know how they're going to make it happen, but 700 shows? I know, like, we're here. And I was just reading another article today, they say the pilot season, the main roles were already filled in. They always try to get big names to bring attention to the pilots. And I was reading some, interview with 4 major casting directors for ABC, for Fox, and some other major channels. And what was their challenges for this pilot season? And they were complaining they cannot find Asian actors. They cannot find funny guys in their 20s. And their biggest concern was that there are so many leading roles for women in their mid-30s.
Really?
Especially single women in their mid-30s. And it's hard for them to get somebody to go and film to Atlanta and drop everything in LA and New York. And I'm like, why don't you hire actors in Georgia? Yeah. I am an actress in my 30s. I am right here. I'm ready for that leading role. What's going on? And you couldn't find me? You couldn't cast me? Come on now.
Yeah, I think I saw that same thing where like 11 pilots had been filmed in New York to this point so far this year, versus 2 new pilots in Atlanta. And it's like, come on.
Because all the major names don't want to travel. They want to stay where they are. And the casting directors are going crazy because they cannot fill in, those roles. And of course, I understand, like, they're looking for some huge names like Jessica Alba or something like that. I was looking at some of the names that they were really proud of casting or was trying to get to their channels this year. That was one of the questions. Great article, by the way. Go to my page. Actress and model Irina Vanwells. By the way, I think I need to spell Irina. It's actually I as in India, R as in Robert, I as in India, N as in Nancy, and A as in Apple. So it's Irina. Because I think people can't spell my name still. Nobody does. So yes, and I posted that article over there, and it's a great read, especially for those who are trying to be actors and for those who are interested in the field. So what's your opinion?
I would think, though, that like if for the actors that are in New York, the big names, to get the hell out of New York in February and March and come down to the South would not be a hard sell at all.
Yeah, just don't tell them it was 30 degrees last night, and I have to be in an evening gown outside. They were not.
The stand-in will have to be in that.
I mean, they were not approving my fur coat outside. It's like, why? I can't. I want to wear it. Like, no, you have to be in an evening gown outside in 30 degrees weather. I'm like,
suck it up.
I was angry, but had to do it. So, anyways, overall, Atlanta is beautiful. nice climate. I mean, we're so much warmer than New York nowadays, so still, we're still warmer than New York.
When it gets warm, and you don't have the snow and
it's
the
beautiful.
wind and all the other stuff.
But what I'm trying to say is, it's a little bit upsetting to me that they cost such a very small amount of roles locally in Atlanta. They make so many movies here. They spend millions and millions of dollars on locations and production expenses, but they stay away from our actors. And I hope it will change. I mean, it was a great surprise to see. You'll remember when we were in Instant Family, I told you that 3 actors were actually local Atlanta actors.
Right.
Actually, the actor I was standing in was from Atlanta, and I was so I thought it was so great. That they finally start filling in some, at least smaller roles here in Atlanta. But
I think that's what it's going to be about. It's making that next step is okay, because I appreciate it from the producer's perspective, is that you need, bankable names. Yeah, it's convenient because, the actor is local or whatever, but if they don't have a big following and whatnot. But I mean, to your point, you've got this thing going on, you've got your modeling thing going on, so you have more of a quote unquote brand to latch onto. I mean, not as much as a Jessica Alba or anything yet.
Yeah. I need my honest company.
Right.
That's my next project. I get my honest company going.
Your honest company.
Her brand. Jessica Alba has actually. She's a. Are we talking about the same person? Yes.
Yeah, Jessica Alba.
Yes. She created, after she had her children, she actually created this brand of organic food for kids and organic household and cleaning supplies, because she wanted to make sure that her company is very honest about what was put in and to produce that food, and she's all concerned about having healthy children and living in a healthy environment. And she created this company, which been sued many times by now because they think that her labels are not as honest as she claims to be. But that's another story. I think overall she's actually a very wealthy lady because of that. She makes millions and millions of dollars outside of her acting career as a great businesswoman. So and it's totally unrelated, but it's just something that come up out of need of when she started her family. Where do I find brands which I trust? That I can give my kids with a peace of mind, and that's her whole brand concept. We create peace of mind for parents who are concerned about our future generation and their health. So it's huge nowadays. It's really good.
Yeah, that's a good concept to go with.
Yeah, but then back to us here in Atlanta.
Yeah, but this has got to go own people. Let's put the focus back on here. The moneymakers.
Back on us. We are moneymakers. We're future of the industry. I'm just hoping that very soon Atlanta will grow to the same level as New York and LA. And they will be casting us here just as much as they cast serious leading roles in LA. Because nowadays, if you want to have anything regular on TV at all, you have to fly out of Atlanta to get cast. I believe so. And you have to have a very strong representation there. What's your opinion about that? You disagree?
The fact is that there are more movies made in Atlanta than anywhere else in the world now. But to your point, the episodics and whatnot, they're still LA and New York.
Well, we do have Resident, very popular.
We've got a handful. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the majority. We're known for movies in LA and New York is more the TVs, and even to a lesser extent Chicago. But I think the more that gets filmed here, there's just no reason not to do business in Atlanta.
Exactly. So I think when we will be talking in a couple of years from now, we will be hopefully the even player in the film, at least in the United States. I hope so. So let's keep our fingers. We just pitching the ideas. We're pitching the ideas here, so all that.
But when I knew that it was really going to catch on here in Atlanta, is when we were filming Captain America: Civil War. That was in 2015, I think. And like I said, I got started in this in August, September of 2014. But in that 1 year, you started hearing all the crew members talk, and they had been coming from LA, flying, to your point, back and forth. Everybody had to fly out over here. But then they, well, no, not really, because of Pinewood Studios and everything else. The crew started talking about where they were buying homes in Atlanta. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay, they've got the foothold, because, they can get, I mean, everything is better here, cost of living wise. You know, they can get, you know, what, you know, $1 million home in California is whatever, like a $300,000 house here. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that doesn't even take into factor the, all the different, you know, taxes and whatnot. Cost, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And our traffic is much better than LA, I think.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, in my area, I can get anywhere within 30 minutes easily. So pretty much. So yeah, and you know, those studios are growing up. Like it's so huge nowadays. I mean, Tyler Perry's studio complex.
Again, like another one. He like sold the other one, and then
he's building something else. Because I'm talking about the one in past in the airport.
East Point.
East Point, yeah.
Yeah. There's something else that he's building too, but yeah, I mean that's
huge, and it's growing. Every time I get there, it just feels like it's just like double the size. You know, yeah. I mean, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that a lot of content creators here, they actually take an initiative and creating their content and even distributing it themselves. You know, so to pitching it to streaming services like Netflix and Hulu, and you know, trying to be independent but very proactive. You know, they're actually taking business in their own hands nowadays. Nowadays, like people are acting, writing, directing, producing, and distributing. You know, you name it. You know, there's a lot going on. So it's great to see that kind of activity here in Atlanta, I think. So yeah, more LA people should move here, and we all need to create our nice, beautiful community in here, keep growing and helping each other out.
But live outside Atlanta. We have enough traffic right here.
Since I brought it up, right?
Like Covington. Try Covington. And then just come in that way.
It's a wonderful area.
Don't go downtown.
Yeah, downtown. You don't want to be in Buckhead. I know a lot of outside roads, that's why I feel you know? But if you only know 2 main roads in Buckhead, you're stuck.
Because you use Vase. Right?
Yes, I use that too. Yeah, I know where our friendly policemen are located at all times.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing you'd ever get a ticket.
You know what? People were actually scared of me that after I get my red car, that I have a red car right now, I will have a lot of tickets, but I actually didn't have a single one yet. Right. Before that, I was actually paying every year like a taxes on speeding tickets. And the worst thing is Holland Roswell Road, the speed limit is 35 miles an hour.
Oh, speed trap, yeah.
Yes, and I'm constantly was going back and forth home. You know, I would get a ticket at least once a year.
Was it a female cop that pulled you over?
Never. Always male.
See,
but
you're just flirting wrong. You're just getting lazy.
I get so frustrated, you know. It's just I get angry, and then that's
good.
You know, I tried different things. I tried to cry. It didn't work. I tried to yell at them and be hysterical. It didn't work. I tried to be charming. That works sometimes.
Sure.
But hysterical things.
Wear this dress. That's the ticket beater right there.
Okay, I will.
There we go.
But you know, surprisingly, after I bought a red car, I didn't have any tickets because they thought like they was putting me on. Maybe because it's hybrid and super slow.
Oh, if it's a hybrid, maybe that's the
Yes, because my husband said like when I'm driving your car, if I'm driving 70, it feels like it's like struggling, you know, like trying to get to that speed. And when we're driving his car, we're driving 80, and he doesn't even know it's like we're past 50 already, you know. So it's like my car is. You know, it's very economical, but you know, it's a little bit of a struggle to get a speeding ticket on it. So.
Got it.
But it works for me because I was already afraid I'm going to lose my driver's license at that rate. You know, every year I needed the break.
Your driving tax.
I swear, and it's always after my birthday. Like you know, like I just like. Will get all these presents, and I'm thinking how I'm gonna spend all this wonderful gifts I got, you know, like money, all the extra money which came to me for the holidays, and usually it's a ticket at least once a year. But yeah, are you a good driver?
Yes. I don't care what the people in the car have to say. Some people get sick. It's just a Mazda 6, but I drive it how it's meant to be driven, and I actually got a ticket. I was going like 75 it was in a 35, Yeah, so it was twice. One of my friends scared me that I was going to get like a super speeder thing, but luckily I did not. And it was just one of those. And it was like a speed trap area too, where it's like, why would you be going only 35 when there's like no businesses, no houses, nothing? And yeah. And I was using Google Maps instead of Waze. That was or Waze, as you call it.
You learned that lesson, right?
Oh yeah. Now I pretend I'm in the hybrid, right?
And we actually were talking about the ways, like when we were on set, you remember somebody said, oh, there's a new feature, you can actually record now directions and all the commands with your own voice. And I said,
really?
and yeah, I remember, and somebody was telling me, like, oh, we did it with my partner. I was like, I don't want to do this to my husband. He's already struggling understanding me. If I will be irritating him, it's like, what did you say? What did you say? What's the name of that street?
She keeps mixing up her W's and V's on
purpose. I can't even say my own last name. That's horrible.
Well, and what really struck me is that, like, when you had said, whatever, so we were like sitting around the table and we were talking about like some drinks that we wanted to have like later, not the two of us, but the group of us going out, and she said whiskey and vodka, and I'm like, it's the
slight difference.
Like, get all Spanish with your B's and V's.
It's like in Russian we only have one sound, vodka, V. Okay,
what?
Yeah, you see, you cannot tell it. But in English, it's a B, W, all this,
Right.
And my last name has both. And I'm always struggling to say.
Okay, so like
my married last name.
So short for like one of the classic cars from back in the day was like a Volkswagen Bug. Mm-hmm. But people, because Volkswagen's too many syllables, will just say VW. So how would you say VW Bug? Without choking.
VW. V.
Did you see the focus that took? She went all zen. No, you. Oh, you would just go blah 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 blah. That's what you would do. Blah 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 blah.
Because I see you trying to trick me.
That's not. It was an honest. It was a cultural question.
It was a cultural question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, yeah. There's some sounds. I'm working on it. I'm working. You see, I'm working on it.
That's good. Fine.
I'm good. The more you drink, the better you like it. Yeah, so I'm still struggling with that, but yeah, he sometimes struggling to understand me. So we were joking that if I would be giving him direction, he will kill somebody by the time he leaves that car with his directions around the town.
Road rage, yeah.
Yes, and he has enough already.
I've heard that when we were the company that I used to work for prior to me moving up here and getting into this, their European headquarters was in Stuttgart, and we had heard like that there were no female navigating voices on like the BMWs and Mercedes in Germany because the men would not listen to where a woman would tell them to go. Really?
You know what?
Really?
Russia, they do have female voice, but I think Russian men are the worst discriminators against the women on the road. Because if it's an accident, it's always women's fault. Mm-hmm. And they didn't like let women to drive for the longest time, finding a bunch of excuses why not. Mm-hmm. And then they start bullying you on the road the day you actually get behind the wheel. It's just ridiculous. Like,
but can't you catch them? Because like everybody there has like the dash cam. You see that on YouTube like all the time. Like this crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, because it's a precaution because unfortunately a lot of police likes bribes. And they train for this as a business on a university level. I'm sorry, Russia and Russian people who are listening to us, but this is unfortunate reality. It's still going on because I just talked recently to people who just left Russia like last year, and they said it's still going on. That people,
of course,
people actually pay a police station for a certain locations where they know they'll get the most well-to-do, I guess, drivers driving good cars, where they will get bribes in euros and dollars instead of rubles. So there's like a whole business going on, unfortunately. And and that's why all those dash cams are, also in place, because even if you have a car accident, people in the cars which are like 20, 30 years old, they just pray that some Mercedes or Porsche will hit them because they know they'll get paid. And it's like their best payday. It's a bonus. But if unfortunately it's the other way around, you hit the Mercedes or Porsche or any expensive car, then you're in trouble because
you decide which organ you're going to sell.
Because
pretty much.
Pretty much, yes, because your annual salary will be probably not enough to compensate them for the repair, and unfortunately, the car insurance is not very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have our puppy joining us.
Special guest star. Is this one of those attack terriers?
You know what? She's actually a mix. Apparently, she needs to go for a walk. Yes.
How old?
She's 13 years old.
She's what?
13 years old.
She can jump like that?
Oh yeah.
This dog is like a foot off the ground when she jumps.
You know, when my husband
15.
If my husband comes back from work, I always fear that she will die of a heart attack because she's so excited. She just basically jumps to his head level, and he's 6'3". You saw it.
What do you feed her? Smaller dogs? How can it have that much energy?
She's a puppy. She behaves
a
like a
13-year-old puppy.
She's 13 years old. Yes, so, which is in dog years is 100 something, right? It's multiplied by 7.
Okay, I'm not Asian, but I know the math is not that. It's multiplied by 7. Yeah, it's not.
7. It's 91.
13,
She's
91. Yeah.
She's close to 100 years old in human years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, that's my grandma's 95, and she doesn't jump like that.
Yeah, but I saw first when I saw her doing all this, even he just takes the trash out or something. He just steps out for 2 minutes and he comes back. She does the same performance.
It's time to go, right?
She will be jumping of joy, literally jumping of joy, up to silver level. And every time I think you're old, please behave yourself. I don't want you to die. At least she will die of joy.
But as soon as she starts quote unquote acting her age, that's when she would probably go. She doesn't know.
Well,
she's cute but dumb in a lovely way.
Well, she only has one job, to be happy, so it's easy for her.
Dog's life, right?
Yes, and she's very patient. Oh my gosh, we sometimes 16 hours on set and she's by herself, and we come back
here, right.
We come back and she's still happy, to see us. But she has to go really fast somewhere.
And she doesn't chew anything up. She hasn't trashed anything or whatever.
That was my biggest concern, because when we got married, I never had a dog in the house. Mm-hmm. We had a big dog living in his own part of the garage, let's say, in Russia.
All right.
We didn't have him in the house. It was a Saint Bernard. Saint Bernard, Beethoven?
Saint Bernard, right? Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay, I just said it in a very Russian way. But
just read the subtitles on the bottom.
We'll put the subtitles.
Saint Bernard. Yeah.
That was a suggestion, by the way. So, yes. No, I was told, if I put subtitles, we'll have so much more viewers and readers.
Nobody likes to read.
No?
No.
I read all the time. But anyway, back to, I was thinking that this dog is going to destroy my place. Mm-hmm. And I was objecting the first 6 months of us dating, him bringing her, But when he brought her, I was so in love with her. I can't let her go. I can't let him go, but I'll keep the dog. I'm just saying that because he doesn't hear. My husband just stepped out so he cannot hear what I'm saying. But anyways, she's adorable.
But anyways.
Do you have pets?
Where I'm staying, they've got a Grand Pyrenees or something like that. It's this huge, wolf sheepdog thing that sheds constantly. It looks very majestic, and he's cool. He doesn't bark and make a big fuss, but he's very cat-like.
Oh, she's a cat-like. If I let her on the sofa, she will be sitting on the handle of the sofa.
No, I mean in that he's not very dog-like, in that he's very indifferent. He does that jumping up and down would not happen. He just kind of looks at you, and then he'll roll over to, present the idea of, I will let you pet my belly.
Maybe.
And then that's it. So, yeah. But he's just so...
Oh, have you seen the dog on Instant Family? It's so big and cute.
Oh, yeah. We filmed with that, yeah.
Yeah, when I first saw it's just a dummy, a fake one, and then suddenly it looked at me and started moving. I freaked out.
It looks a lot like it, and the long black hair. But what type of dog is that?
I have no idea, but it looks like a bear.
It looks like a Saint Bernard and a bear.
Yeah, it's huge, but it's so cuddly and lovely. It
is. Because it's paid to be.
It's paid to be.
It's a union dog. The non-union dogs, that's how I lost my hands.
I see. Well, hour almost over. You were complaining it's too long, but it's almost finished.
Is it?
Yeah.
3 more minutes.
Any last words? I don't mean it the way it sounds. He will be alive and well after this show.
Well, the one thing I'm not big on plugging, but I'm really proud of the other actors performing in this play. It's called A Lesson Before Dying. It's an award-winning book, and it's going to be. I think we're going to do it May 5th. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure the location yet. We had to switch things around because one of our actors
you're on that stage. Right?
Yeah, he had a death in the family. I'm going to be in it, but it's a really powerful story, and I think that's one of the challenges that any actor has at any stage is like finding awesome material. So I feel really blessed and kind of spoiled that I got the Pulitzer Prize winning play. It was Pulitzer Prize before I was in it, and the award-winning book.
It's going to be even bigger.
And listen to her. Keep that up there, big guy.
That's true. That's the truth.
But yeah, key scripts are the thing, and this is a really good story. And
what's the name of it again?
It's called A Lesson Before Dying.
Wow, very interesting.
It's actually more inspirational than it sounds. So not a comedy, just so you know.
But inspirational.
Very much so. Yeah.
I was just actually reading today that in the magazine there's this play which lasts for 8 hours, Angels of America, I believe. It's a very famous play which they did back in the 80s when a lot of gay people were dying of AIDS and it was such a big taboo to talk about it. And now they
Irina, you're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't believe how you can do 8 hours on stage, but they do it.
There's a movie version too.
Good luck to that, and we'll hope to see you on that stage. So we have to wrap it up. It's Saturday, and we'll let you guys go wherever you're on the way, nightclub or dinner with the parents. And it was so exciting to have you here, Darren.
Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, no. And we hope to see you soon again on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching us.
Do you valet parking?
Bye, everybody. Yeah, this is the show.